getting it. Doing an unboxing of I guess a couple things. As I converted my boat over to electric from fuel, I didn't have a way to cook it when I wasn't on shore power because I didn't have an inverter large enough and strong enough. So what I ended up buying here is a Victron Energy Pheonix inverter. And I'd like to have done the unboxing, but I'd say the box failed. It literally, I'm not too sure, the glue came undone, and yeah, and that was, so I wasn't too impressed with that. This is literally, I had to kind of scramble hold it, so that kind of sucked. But you get this nice blue box. So then this is the actual Pheonix inverter. It weighs a few pounds. It feels hefty. It comes in a bag, and it looks like it can be vertically mounted, horizontally mounted. I'd say that weighs a good 10, 15 pounds, 20 pounds maybe. No, not maybe like 15 pounds. It's quite heavy. So what this unit does is it takes 48 volts DC, and it converts it to 120 volts 60 hertz AC alternating current. And the inputs on this are pretty simple. So I have on off switch, and it looks like there's an alarm. I'm not too sure whether it's eco mode or just on. That's cool. I wonder what eco mode does. This is your DC input, and those look like pretty big connectors. Underneath, for me, it should be underneath 1.5 meters, or about 4 feet away from the batteries, because it's just on the other side of the wall, so it'll be less than that. So I didn't need to put a fuse in between the unit and the battery. So this can go directly to the batteries, according to the manufacturer. Just because I'm like 2 feet from the batteries is where I'm putting this. And then down here, it's got, I think that's a temperature sensor. And it's also got the VE Direct, which is the Bluetooth dongle. And on the other side, it's got a North America style AC outlet. And that will produce, from what I understand, 8 amps draw. And I tested my induction cooktop, and it's 1500 watts. And that exceeds this 1200 watts. So I can't run it full, but I've never run the stove full. So when I run both burners on at half, which is kind of like the default setting when you turn it on, it draws 1150 watts. I put a watt meter on it, a power meter, just to measure that. So this will be doing me just fine to cook, because that's pretty much the only thing that I use. Aside from a toaster, I bought a 1000-watt toaster oven, so I can do toast in the morning. Everything else on my boat is DC, so this is really the primary reason for this. So to go with this unit, I also got somewhere two things. This is the Victron Energy Smart dongle. I already have this running on my Victron Energy MPPT solar controller. So I'll show you how this works. Basically, you run Victron Connect, and then you're connecting to the Bluetooth dongle, and then the dongle plugs into that into the solar controller, and then I can kind of get all of my wattage, my battery voltage, history, and I can also do a lot of settings. So I can kind of set how the controller will interact with the batteries, which is really important for charging and whatnot. So it gives me kind of like a running history. If I want to troubleshoot something, it's like really useful. So I don't have a clue what I'm going to get with the Victron Energy Pheonix 48 volt 1200 watt pure sine wave inverter, but I know that it's going to show up on my device list here as a second item, and I will connect to it. So that's what this dongle is for, to give me access to this. And then one thing that I was really impressed with Victron was that it actually downloaded the firmware and it upgraded the dongle, and then it downloaded the firmware for the MPPT controller. Excuse me.
Sorry, it's there's a
Modified sine wave and a pure sine wave. And one thing I found was that the modified sine wave wouldn't run my induction cooktop. This is the induction cooktop here. So this cooktop is sensitive, I think, to the actual power wave. So it made a big, it wouldn't run, but I could run power tools, I could run my chargers, everything else seemed to be fine. But I couldn't run the induction cooktop because it was sensitive. And I think that there are some laptops and things that you wouldn't be able to use because they're sensitive. Yeah, sorry, I had to close, had to finish off my memory card ran out of space. I gotta go empty my camera memory stick here. One other thing that they did give you, which I was very appreciative, there's a ton of technical data and troubleshooting LEDs, the size of wire for the unit, all that kind of thing. So like I said, I was impressed with the MPPT controller, and I'm impressed with the pure sine wave inverter, the Pheonix version of it. So far, it doesn't feel light. It's hefty, and they've got some nice, it's like a plastic metal, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel cheap. And it's made in the Netherlands, I believe. So I like the idea of, it's from the Netherlands, and I think it's even got the colors of the Netherlands, actually. So this is kind of the largest one that they have, 48-1200. From my understanding. So you can get it in 12 volts, 24, or 48, and you can get it from 250, 375, 500, 800, and 1200. So there's a few versions that you can get. So this is pretty much the biggest one that you can get in terms of input power conversion and output power. So I'm excited to turn this thing on. Look forward to it, and I'll let you know how it goes.